Hello and welcome once again to the last lecture on hydrogen family. In the earlier three lectures, we had done the chemistry of hydrogen peroxide, the chemistry of hydrogen deuterium, that is heavy hydrogen, chemistry of water and heavy water, and the general properties of and structures of different hydrides, different types of hydrides. Today, we will have a very small program. We'll only talk about the hardness of water. Hardness is good for drinking, but bad for other purpose, bathing, cleansing, because hard water doesn't produce good lather. Good lather, you can call it good lather, foam, unless there is a good lather or foam in the soap solution or detergent solution, the cleansing action will be poor, almost absent. Today we'll not talk about the cleansing action, the micellar theory, how the micelles are formed. Those will be discussed later in a separate program. But now we shall see why water that comes from natural sources, maybe your municipality supplied water, or maybe pond water, or water from a well. So these water, most of the time, depending on the area where you are staying, are hard. They are not soft. Now, hardness of water is due to the presence of these two salts, magnesium and calcium salts. And that too, the negative ions are bicarbonates or hydrogen carbonates or chlorides or sulfates. They are restricted to cations, magnesium, calcium, anions, bicarbonate, chloride, sulfate. As I have already told you, doesn't produce lather with soap easily, hence unsuitable for bathing, cleaning, washing, etc. Why it is formed? Because the rainwater is the purest form of water, almost. It contains some carbon dioxide in the form of carbonic acid. But when rainwater enters deep into the earth crust, passing through different minerals, particularly calcium and magnesium, they carry some dissolved calcium chloride, magnesium chloride, calcium sulfate, magnesium sulfate, and their corresponding bicarbonates. That produces hardness. Why it is hard? Because soap solution immediately separate out a scum, a precipitate, a oily type of precipitate. That is the calcium salt of the soap. Soap, in fact, if you do not know what is the composition of the soap, soap is formed by the hydrolysis of oils and fats. That oils and fats called triglycerides, natural oils and fats. For example, coconut oil, olive oil, palmolive oil. These have a common thing. They are esters, and they are esters from glycerol, which is an alcohol, and long chain carboxylic acids containing 15 carbon, 17 carbon, 19 carbon, and so on. They are long chain carboxylic acids. And you know, carboxylic acids and alcohols, they combine to form esters. So oils and fats, they are esters. Unsaturated, if there is a double bond in the carboxylic acid part, the long part, then that is oil. If there is no unsaturation, all carbon atoms are saturated, sp3 hybridized, then it is fat. So when that fat or oil, you take some coconut oil and apply some sodium hydroxide solution, boil it, you will find glycerol will be separated and the long chain carboxylic acid will appear as sodium salt or potassium salt. And that is nothing but soap. Now, what happens when you apply soap to produce lather, foam? In a hard water, then it doesn't form foam or lather. Instead, it forms an oily precipitate that is called scum, and that is nothing but the calcium and magnesium salt of that particular long chain carboxylic acid, which are insoluble. Sodium potassium salts are highly soluble to create foam, lather, by forming a very exotic molecules called micelles. We'll talk about that later, not now. Now see, this happens. This is one of the formula of soap. Sodium, this is stearate. C17H35CO minus Na plus. When you treat it with hard water containing magnesium 2 plus or calcium 2 plus, then they interchange, the double displacement reaction happens, and you get because the carboxylate group is monovalent and calcium magnesium are divalent, so whole 2M, this is insoluble solid. That is called scum. It's almost like an oily substance separating out, so that doesn't produce any micelles and hence hence leather. And sodium ions are set free in water. So the soap is being trapped as an insoluble precipitate called scum. Sometimes hard water is also not useful for kettles, washing machines, dishwashers, boilers, cooling towers, as it produces white deposits of calcium carbonate called limescale, and that corrodes the entire kettle. The washing machine is being spoilt by continuous deposition of calcium carbonate. It's very difficult to separate, scrap out, remove the limescale. So, to make hard water soft, we should know how many types of hardness. As you know from your junior classes, you are in class 11, you have already been acquainted with hard and soft water from your lower level, that means upper primary level, I guess. So there are two types of hardness. If hardness is not there, it is a soft water. That means it doesn't carry calcium ion, magnesium ion, which are threats to cleansing action, threats to producing scum, and will not allow soap, detergent to work. Now, the temporary hardness is good. Permanent hardness, the villains, calcium ion and magnesium ion, these villains will not go away by mere heating. That is why they're called permanent. You don't go away with the literary meaning of permanent. Nothing is permanent in this universe. Everything is amenable, susceptible for destruction. Right? Permanent here means it cannot be easily made soft by heating process. Now see how temporary hardness is removed. You already know, either by heating, simply heating hard water. That happens when the hard water contains bicarbonates. That method is not applicable for calcium and magnesium chlorides and sulfates. If it is a bicarbonate salt, then that bicarbonate can be converted to carbonate on heating. This is soluble, but calcium carbonate is not soluble. If the hard water contains bicarbonate, then this method is suitable. Or if it is magnesium bicarbonate, then it will produce hydroxide. The decomposition, thermal decompositions are different. Calcium bicarbonate will give you calcium carbonate solid, and magnesium bicarbonate will not give magnesium carbonate. Magnesium hydroxide plus 2 carbon dioxide, no water. Now you can filter it out. Just heat for boil for some time, then filter it out. The residue will contain calcium carbonate, magnesium hydroxide. Then you take the soft water. The filtrate is a soft water, and you use it for cleaning purpose. You use it for laundry purpose, and use it in your kettle or in your washing machine, dishwasher, whatever. But boiling also needs energy. and some investment. Continuous boiling also needs some money, electricity. So there is another alternative. The Clark's method makes use of adding a calculated amount of lime, select lime, calcium hydroxide, with the hard water, that is temporary hard water. Then you need not have to heat. So the boiling electricity bill will not be used here. Simply by adding lime, calculated quantity, exactly in molar amounts, it will produce calcium carbonate precipitate. You filter it out, and magnesium bicarbonate will produce magnesium hydroxide. Always magnesium will produce magnesium hydroxide, and here calcium carbonate and water. Right? It will be 2 calcium carbonate. Here it will be 1 magnesium hydroxide. Just check the balancing part later. Every time magnesium hydroxide is formed, calcium carbonate is formed. This method is a little more economical than the boiling method by using calculated quantity of lime. But permanent hardness is very difficult to remove. It contains magnesium, calcium, chlorides, and sulfates. Chlorides and sulfates. Now, there are many methods how to remove calcium and magnesium from permanently hard water. Permanent doesn't mean real permanent. Difficult to make it sound. Now, first method is using washing soda for calcium ion removal, and washing soda with lime. Here some students, they commit mistake. For removing calcium, well, from hard water, permanent hard water, you need only washing soda. But for removing magnesium, you need both lime and washing soda. See the equations. If it is calcium ion, I'm only taking ion, doesn't matter whether it's chloride or sulfate, it will be removed as calcium carbonate. But magnesium will not, magnesium carbonate is soluble. We will know very shortly. We are going to study group 1, group 2. In group 2, we will study the solubility of carbonates. Beryllium carbonate and magnesium carbonate, they are fairly soluble. But magnesium hydroxide is highly sparingly soluble, means for you it is insoluble. So you add lime as well as sodium carbonate to precipitate out magnesium hydroxide. And both calcium carbonate, both are solids. And then filter it out, and the soft water is now ready for your use. Remember this, for calcium ion, you need to use washing soda alone, and for magnesium ion, both washing soda and lime. Coming to the Kalgun method, this is an old method which has been now obsolete. I mean, they have been abandoned because of pollution hazards. Phosphorus compounds, they contaminate the wastewater. The wastewater is being continuously polluted because of the phosphorus present in this compound. Here, sodium hexametaphosphate, SHMP, Na6P6O18. Or to remember this formula easily, we write NaPO3 This is metaphosphate, PO3 1 minus. We shall learn the structure of all these phosphates, oxophosphates in detail in our 12th class program. So, and sodium tripolyphosphate, STPP, SHMP and STPP. Its formula is Na5P3O10. We are not going to draw the Lewis structure of this. We'll be doing that later in our 12th class program. So sodium tripolyphosphate and sodium hexametaphosphates, they are used in very low concentrations to remove permanent hardness. They contain some other complexing agent as additives like sodium citrate. A bit of sodium citrate is also mixed to help it acting as a ligand for complexing magnesium ion and calcium ion. Now these are called sequestrants. Sequestrants are used to remove contaminants. by forming a complex. They are now not much in use due to problems associated with wastewater management, the pollution problem. That is why increasingly the Kalgan method has been abandoned globally. Now, why it is Kalgan? Kalgan means calcium gone, calcium gone, Calgon. Now see, I have written the equation just for your examination purpose, that this is SHMP, sodium hexametaphosphate. Out of the 6 sodium, 2 sodium ions are loitering here and there. They do not take part. So the actual ion that we shall be taking is Na4 PO3 whole 6. This is PO3 whole 6, and Na4 we will take as the ion, an ion, and other 2 Na plus ions are set free to move. Now this is the villain. Calcium ion or magnesium ion will react with this anion, tetrasodium hexametaphosphate. Other 2 sodium ions are now swimming like fish. It doesn't have any wajood nahi hai. So what I was saying, if some international guy is watching my video, don't worry, don't be scared. I have used a bit of Hindi, our Indian language, while delivering, so it doesn't matter. Let us learn different languages as we have learned your language. International language is English, your language. We are proud of that, which has made the entire globe as a very small space. We can communicate with anyone and everyone because of your language. So we honor it. At the same time, we honor our Indian languages, Hindi, and other regional languages like Odia. I am from the Cuttack city, an industrial and commercial city, the erstwhile capital of Odisha, Cuttack, belonging to the twin city of Cuttack, Bhubaneswar. Let's start. Now, if you use, this is a solid. When the metal ions, calcium or magnesium, will react with this tetrasodium hexametaphosphate, one ion, Mg2 plus or Ca2 plus will enter, and it will produce the insoluble precipitate, along with 2 sodium outside. Otherwise, an ion cannot precipitate. It has to have its friend. Without a friend, you cannot sustain, we cannot sustain. Friendship is the hallmark of our existence. Whether you have a human friend or a non-human friend, like you can make a friendship with sun, moon, river, ocean, sky, but friendship has to be there. You know, these seers, they make friendship with the nature. And human beings who are very, very glad to while away the entire lifetime with mundane things, raising a family, working for the family, and working for the progress, the economic stability, constructing buildings, having a good bank balance, both Indian rupee and as well as American dollars. So they love human beings. And the inanimate beings like money. Money is an inanimate, non-living substance. And as well as food. We love food. Some of you are very, very passionate about eating. Before completing one particular meal, say breakfast, you plan for your dinner or lunch, and you order your mom, so this will be my items in the lunch. You do this. And I have seen many families, even in their late ages, in their say 60s, 70s, 80s, they center around, their entire lifetime centers around food. So they love food, they love human being. We love food, we love human beings. But seers, they love sky, they love moon, they love sun. But let us come back to sodium tripolyphosphate. Its formula is Na5P3O10. And calcium ion also is replaced. Calcium ion replaces two sodium ions. It becomes calcium tripolyphosphate. So this is a precipitate. This is a precipitate. I have not written Na2, so I think I should correct it here. There is no harm in correcting even at the so this is the precipitate, and then we remove the calcium and magnesium. I'm taking calcium as an example. You can also have magnesium in place of calcium. This is gone. Now we shall now take up the best modern method of removing permanent hardness is the zeolite method, or it was called permutate method earlier. Permutate is a synthetic zeolite. Zeolites, we will study about the details of zeolites in our carbon family. Zeolites belong to a 3D framework of aluminosilicates, aluminium as well as silicon and oxygen. Silicon, aluminium, oxygen, they are the main. And some sodium ion, magnesium ion, calcium ion, they are also there. Detailed structure we will be discussing in our carbon family. These are called framework aluminosilicates found in nature and also produced synthetically. If you prepare synthetically, it will be called permutate. They are microporous, they are porous, having very, very minute holes. They are crystalline, hydrated aluminosilicates and act as ion exchangers. They exchange ions. Sodium ion will come, calcium ion and magnesium ion will come, and it will send the sodium ion, which will not create any problem in forming the lather, the foam. So their structure is similar to silica structure. You do not know silica structure. What we call the common sand, which is found in the river shore, the seashore. You have seen sand. That sand, जिसको हम हिंदी में रेत कहते हैं, उड़िया में बाली. That sand structure is very typical. It has a three-dimensional structure. Each silicon is bonded with 4 oxygen atoms in a tetrahedral geometry, and each oxygen is bonded with 2 silicons with a bent V-shaped geometry. It's a gigantic network. So in zeolite, some of the silicon 4+ is being replaced by aluminum ion. Some of the silicon 4+ is replaced by aluminum ion, and the charge, the negative charge, becomes more. If one Si4+ is substituted by one Al3+, then there will be one excess -1 charge. So to balance the charge and make the substance neutral, you will have sodium ion at some places. For each aluminum ion's entry, one sodium ion will be there, or potassium ion, or for 2 aluminum ions entry, there will be a calcium ion or magnesium ion, so that the negative charge and positive charge, they balance and the substance is neutral. So that is what we can describe the structure of zeolites, which are aluminosilicates, which is exactly a silica structure with some silicon 4+ being replaced by aluminum ion, and to make charge balance, some monopositive or dipositive metal ions also are found in different places. Now, the general formula of zeolites is this: SiO2, X, AlO2, Y, Na, Y, and this is hydrated, so it is N water. So if Y is 1, then the simplest zeolites empirical formula will be NaAlSiO4. If Al is 2, then it will be this, and so on. And there are many more complicated, Y can be 7, can be 6. So this you should remember as the general formula of zeolites: SiO2X, AlO2Y, in bracket, square bracket, and NaY. So the balance the charge is balanced. Now, to make it short, you will write Na2Zd. This Zd stands for the entire thing. Only Na will be here. Zd, let us take Na, Jd, let's take the valency is 2 minus. So 2 minus, therefore it is 2. And we have taken the commonest, this one supposing is as a valency 2 minus. So if this will be taken as Zd, Zd stands for the zeolite, sodium zeolite, like this, Na2Al2S8. Then when you treat it with hard water, calcium and magnesium will be replaced by the sodium ion. So the zeolite will trap all the valence in it. The water will flow down carrying heroes sodium ion, which will not have any problem for making it useless for cleaning purpose, bathing purpose. Calcium and magnesium ions are exchanged by sodium ions when zeolites are mixed with hot water. Then you can reuse the same zeolite. Now we have, calcium zeolite and magnesium zeolite. To again flush out calcium magnesium, so you can boil it with sodium chloride, so that the calcium magnesium which have been trapped, they will be set free, and the sodium zeolite can be once again used to soften hard water, permanently hard water. Coming to the ion exchange reagents, which are the most modern ones. Purification of water is now being done by using ion exchange reagents. They are not zeolites, they are not any what we call ceramic products. They are synthetic plastic products. Ion exchange reagents, once you coin the term regene is a substitute for plastic. Remember, this is a very old word, but still very much in use as a substitute for plastics. So ion exchange reagents are actually synthetic cross-linked. They are cross-linked. We shall study the details of polymers later. Cross-linked polymers such as polystyrene, polyacrylonitrile, polymethyl acrylate. We shall know all these structures later in our organic program, which are chemically modified. It's not simply plastic, that polyacrylate, no. It's not polyacrylonitrile, no. It has been chemically modified, inserting some functional groups like sulfonic acid, carboxylic acid, amino. Then when they are modified, the plastic is modified, they act as ion exchange reagents. They have various pores. They are also microporous, having different pore size. You can tailor make the size of the pores and use it for different purposes. Now, such reagents have SO3Na. SO3H was there, then it was treated with sodium hydroxide, so it becomes SO3Na. So when you use to soften hard water, the functional group which are hanging, for example, this is the plastic chain. Let me show you here. This is, say, for example, this is a polymer where is a pendant SO3H. It was there, but we have modified once again. And so also here, this is one example of ion exchange reagent. This polymeric chain can be polyacrylonitrile, polymethyl methacrylate, and so many, polystyrene, and so on. The hanging group can be SO3Na, COONA, but this also will be remaining in the form of salt, NH3 plus Cl minus, NH3 plus Cl minus as a ammonium salt. So this is NH2 plus, NH3 plus, I'm sorry. In fact, it remains as a salt of a tertiary amine, NR2, NH, R2 plus, Cl minus. So these are, and this is COO minus, Na plus. I'm showing everything in one chain, but actually some ion exchanger reagents will have are sulfonic acid based, some are amino based, some are carboxylic acid based. So it depends. Now what happens here, this is the resin, this is the plastic polymeric chain. I am writing as res, means the polymer chain, entire polymer chain, and it is having a functional group SO3Na. And when the soft water, I'm sorry, hard water containing Mg2 plus or Ca2 plus, it reacts with this ion exchange regime, then Na plus goes away and M2 plus is trapped. Since the valency of M is 2 plus, then we have to write S. Res means not residence, it is resin. SO3 whole 2 M, because res SO3 is a monovalent -1. But we have a divalent calcium and magnesium, so it will be whole 2M. This is a precipitate. Sodium is set free, so the hard water has been made soft. So another way, now let's see. This is a fantastic way to produce deionized water, completely deionized, only pure water, no mineral, no anion, no cation, excepting water. Now here, this I told about how to make hard water soft, to remove calcium and magnesium by using the ion exchange regimes, right? But this amino, it doesn't have any use here. I have told you while I introduced ion exchange regimes, but this NR3, NR2, NHR2 plus Cl minus, that will not be used here. It will be used as an anion exchanger, not to make hard water soft. Now, when we want deionized water, we are using a ordinary water, maybe hard, maybe soft, containing some other minerals which are not hard, sodium chloride or sodium nitrate, which will not give hardness to the water. But we don't want it. We want pure water, no cation, no anion. In that case, we have to pass through the water in two phases. One through cation exchanger. Cation exchanger this time will be having a carboxylic acid or sulfonic acid, not Na. We want to exchange with H plus ion, not with Na plus ion. Our intention here was different, but here it is different. So we would take SO3H or COOH, and we have any ion, maybe Na plus or calcium ion or magnesium ion or aluminum ion, whatever we have. So they will replace with H plus ion. So H plus ion will be set free. And these all ions, including sodium, potassium, they are trapped inside the ion exchange regimes. And water which will be flowing out will be carrying H plus and also anions. We have not so far removed the anions. Then it will pass through anion exchangers. That will contain the same resin with quaternary ammonium salts, NR2, and it becomes a salt NR2H plus OH minus. This H is now bonded with nitrogen, but the free is OH minus. So whenever the cation free water is passed through an ion exchanger, the anions present, chloride ion, sulfate ion, phosphate ion, carbonate ion, they are exchanged with OH minus ion. So I have just written one example where a monovalent chloride ion or bromide ion has replaced one OH minus, giving this structure. This is not a free H plus, don't confuse. This H is bonded with nitrogen. We'll learn about organic chemistry later. So this X minus will replace OH minus. It will be trapped, so it becomes a precipitate. Similarly, if it is a divalent sulfate ion, then for that we need two such, because this is monovalent. This entire resin NR2H plus is monovalent, so whole 2 and so on. So OH minus now, it has, the water is first freed of all cations and contains H plus ion as the only cation, and then it was free of all anions, now only having one negative ion, that is OH minus, and ultimately H plus ion and OH minus ion, they will combine to form the undissociated water. So that is called deionized water. But after a month, when we will study about water, pure water, I think I had already sounded you that that also contains 10 to the power minus 7 moles per liter of water, H plus, as well as 10 to the power minus 7 moles per liter of water of OH minus. But that is so negligible, we can dare say that it is totally deionized. So the self or auto dissociation of water giving H plus and OH minus is almost very, very negligible, right? So thus we conclude today's session. I don't know how long we have spent for this session, maybe more than 30 minutes. Anybody who can tell me how many minutes have been passed? I would like to interact. Yes, raise your hands. Yes, Mr. Samal? How many minutes gone? Somebody is writing 40 minutes. Okay, well, let's not make this video longer than 40 minutes. I think we will close. And guys, if you have you are following my channel and my subject matter in chemistry, so please don't forget to give your thumbs up and means like. And also, if you are not a subscriber, subscribe to my channel, because you don't have to pay. Earlier, I had a notion that subscription means paying something. I was scared of somebody says, please subscribe, please subscribe. So I was scared of, no, I cannot pay money to be a subscriber. But later on, I learned that subscription doesn't involve, and particularly the subscription I am looking for, this YouTube doesn't need any financial transaction. Bye. Have a very good day and hope for the best. And let us wait for the next video. Bye-bye.